Welcome back everyone, compilation time again. I know you like them, so I'll keep them coming. First up, this titanium Enigma. Got many issues, it's in for a full service, but there's one bit I really want to show you. First up is this rear brake. Customer says it's sticking on. Certainly is. You normally say straight away that's a cable issue, so I'll undo the cable and show you. Can't believe this one. Right, that's cable disconnected. Houston, I've got a problem. Look at the state of this arm. It's literally about to fall to pieces. And there's an arrow there. There's the front of the bike that way. We'll sort that as well. Let's get the whole brake off and see what's going on. Oh my god. So clearly there's an issue with this pivot here. I'm going to take it all apart and give it a good clean. These pads look brand new, so I'll take them out and put them in the right side while we're here as well. Right, so I've cleaned it up a bit, get all the rubbish out of the bits and pieces so we can see. So if you squeeze this now, you'd expect normally a very strong spring return on these. And it's doing pretty much nothing, it's pretty much staying where I put it. One arm's sort of springing a bit, but... So let's strip it apart, see what we can do. There's a little 2mm screw down there, you need to just back that off slightly before you can take this main bolt out. You could in theory just blast this through with WD-40 or PB blaster and probably get it freed up, but let's try and do it properly. Just be careful because there are springs in here, so you've got potential to explode in your hands. Right, there's one bit. There's one arm. You get washers and stuff like this in here. Remember where they go. So this bit here that came off there is actually a bearing. It's not actually just a washer, there's a bearing in there. So I'll need looking up because it ain't doing no bearing in. So there's a spring there. Like I say, these are pretty strong, so just be careful. Currently it's locked and loaded, but as you can see, it's doing absolutely nothing. I'm just wondering if the spring's actually broken looking at that. I think it's still in one piece, so I'll take this one out next. This one, you've got to loosen this 10mm off, which can be challenging. There you go. Pretty solid that one is, got a ratchet on it now, but there you go. Take that one out. State of these. Remember which way around your spring goes, it is a slightly different profile. Oh my god, look at the state of this. Alright, I think all of this is going to go in the ultrasonic, and then we'll look at reassembling it. Alright, so that's mostly all cleaned up pretty well. There's this little bearing, as I say. I don't know if you can buy these as spares, but they're pretty basic, so just pop that top piece off there, and you'll see ball bearings in there. So just give this a good clean as well. Don't try and take it apart any more than that, because it's just going to destroy itself. It's super fragile, the balls are just falling out, so I'm just going to put some spray lube on this, not grease. How much it actually does, who knows, but Shimano deemed it important. So there's another grub screw in the front of this one as well, but this is Loctited in pretty firmly, so I'll be putting some fresh Loctite on that. Basically, you put that bolt through there, set the tension of the arm, stop that flopping around, and then lock this one up as well. This pivot here, I don't think you can get this apart. It doesn't appear to be an Allen key of any size, so I'm just going to get some lube in here as well. It is moving though. There's also a plastic bushing on here that comes off as well. Again, just get some lube all over this. The quick release mechanism, you can take that apart if you need to, but this piece here needs to move independently to this piece here. If these are basically not moving independently, they're moving together, you'll need to dig a bit deeper in there, but normally squirt a lube in there. They'll keep going forever. That's fine, that one is. I think this is another bearing, I can't remember. Yeah. Another one there. Right, put that one back in, that's good. Right, once you've cleaned it all up, lubricated everything where it should be, the bearings, etc., time to put it back together. I'll tell you now, this is going to be way easier if you use a vise. I'll show you why, because this spring pressure is immense. First of all, we put this half back together, so the big bolt goes through here. I've already put some grease on here, it's living in here. Make sure that spins nice and freely like that. And then you need to put your spring on, so that piece hooks against there like that. And this is where it gets a little bit challenging. This piece now will screw into one half of this. Only one of them's got a thread, so you know which one it is. And you see the spring there lives on that piece there. Just get this screw started like that. And obviously that nut goes on the end of there. I'll put that on later. We're just going to go for a test first. And now the problem is now this spring pressure is already, I mean, you can potentially unhook it and hook it at the end, but believe you me, it's pretty much impossible without ripping your finger off. So this piece here needs to be basically down here, that's the problem. And you've got a lot of spring pressure there, it's got to go way past that. So the easiest way to do it is to clamp this piece here in the vise. So clamp this in the vise on the cable holder piece like this. You will need a bit of room behind the vise as well, so it's a bit challenging. And this is the spring pressure you've got to overcome while you put it together. So this piece here with this little roller goes underneath here. You'll see all the paint worn off where it sits, so it will sit like that basically. But this needs to come around at the same time. So then it's a matter of holding this in the right place with the bearing. I'm going to put some grease on this just to hold it in place. Like that. And then this will go around here, hold it in place, and then try and get the bolt in at the same time. I'm struggling to do this, let alone film it, but you get the idea. Once it gets started, it's okay. I think that's going in now, yeah. Alright, that's basically it. Whew. And relax. And that's the caliper basically rebuilt. And you can see we've got some spring in there. So now we can just finish tightening these bolts up because we know it's going to work. So the first one, that was the one I've just put in there with the spring. Tighten that up. Don't go crazy because you're locking this there and it doesn't pivot. And that's what this one does. And this one does, locks it in place when you get it right. I'm going to put it on the bike first and make sure there's no slop in this arm. And then I'll finally torque that up. I'm going to put a bit of Loctite on this nut. Tighten that on. Right, now I'm going to just drop this through the frame and see how it feels, because it feels okay in your hand, but it can be a bit different when you get it on the bike. Let's just check. It feels really good there. So just throw it back on the bike. I'm just making sure I got rid of that slop in that arm. That feels pretty good. Maybe go a little bit tighter here. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit more, take it off and a little bit tighter. So that's that one here. So it wasn't particularly tight, so I know that'll be okay now. So then I'm going to tighten this 2mm back up that's in here. And again, that one on the front, just nip it up. That's got Loctite on it now. That should be very nice. Right, it's back on again. That is all gone now. And that's got a very good spring on it. So that's it, just throw these pads in now. These pad holders are even on the wrong side as well, looking at it. So the pads were the right way around, but the pad holder's on the wrong side of the bike. So this piece here should be facing forward to stop the pads pulling out. So I'll just swap them over, put the pads back in. Right, so they're back on the right way around. Put this cable back in and see how she feels. Should be good. Right, let's try that. Beautiful. That's how it should be working. Right, what we got next? I'm still on the same bike here, just to show you this one. It's a funny one. This is an 11-speed cassette. It's been changed, getting a new chain and cassette. But if you look at this, look, there's my 3mm Allen key. Won't fit, won't fit, won't fit, won't fit, won't fit. Oh look. Won't fit. There's a massive gap in between these two sprockets here. So I don't know what he's done here, but the spacer is either the incorrect one or something's not fitted properly, but never in a million years is that going to change gear properly like that. Oh, what a surprise. It can't jump that gigantic chasm. It goes down actually, to be fair. It goes down over it, but it won't go up. Look, no chance. And then it goes straight up to 2. So yeah, new cassette for this one. Right, next up we've got this Basso. Nice bike actually, pretty new. It's got a Di2 fault. This front derailleur is not working. Let me demonstrate. Right, so the rear derailleur is working. Front derailleur is working. Right, it suddenly decided to work, but it has got an intermittent fault. Trust me, it's got a problem. It is working now, but before it was doing nothing. So what I did obviously first is check the connection there. That's plugged in. I took the seat post out and checked the connection to the battery. It still didn't work. As soon as I press record, it starts working. However, I just found another problem. I'll go through the diagnosis that I did anyway before it started working again miraculously. Show you what I tried to prove it. So load up your YouTube on your phone. Press your button on here. Press and hold till it flashes blue on the back of it. Like that. And connect to your bike. Just found that, no problem. So the system can see the front derailleur, no problem. So you go to maintenance here, go to front shifting unit, and you can basically micro adjust the front derailleur, so we can talk to it like this at the moment. So start that, press start again, it tells you to go into a gear, basically shifts gear for you, to put into the right gear for its maintenance mode. So that's in the right ratio for what it wants it to be in for maintenance. So press start there, and then we can micro adjust this front derailleur on this screen here. And that's working, you can hear that. And you can see it as well. Front derailleur is working. Put it back to 0. So we know the front derailleur is working. There's not a problem with that. It's got power. However, it still didn't work after that. disconnect from there. Being able to control it with your phone means the front derailleur is okay, the power's okay, the connection's okay, so it can only be a shifter issue then. So let's have a look at that. So to connect to wireless shifters, basically there's a dummy port in here that you pull out, and then you plug in your PCEO2 box via your laptop via a cable. So you can't do a great deal on your phone. You can talk to the derailleurs and the battery, but with the shifters you need to plug directly in with a cable. However, to access that port, you pull the top of this hood back, and then, look at this. Well, the whole thing's about to fall off, so that would kind of explain why there's an intermittent connection. Bearing in mind that this bike's less than a year older, hasn't done many miles, so that's not ideal. Screw there, and there's one on the other side, this side here, exactly the same. So I'm going to try and tighten those up. The battery for the actual shifter lives underneath this cover, so once I've tightened these up and stopped it all wobbling around, I'll check that out as well. But it is working at the moment, so I think potentially it's just a loose connection because of this. This screw is pretty much fallen out on this side, and they're both very loose. And you can see this other one here is pretty much fell out. Look, crazy. Right, I'll just tighten this up. Right, tight. I've stopped all that wobbling around now, nothing moving there now. So I'm going to just take this off and check that connection as well. Two of them. I'm just testing these batteries on a multimeter. There is, damn it, 3 volts. 3 volts, so I don't think it's a battery issue. There's supposed to be a blanking plug in here, but it's already missing in here. So I'm going to connect my laptop to that anyway, just to talk to it, see if there's any firmware updates, see if it's reporting any issues. So this is just connected via eTube Professional on your laptop. You can't do it without this PCEO2. That's a couple £100, so I just found that shifter, and it's got a firmware update, so we'll do that as well. This is a Bluetooth update basically, so this is giving you a Bluetooth license. This is when they started hacking into shifters a couple of years ago, last year even. Basically you could hack into someone's shifter and change gear on their bike. Sounds funny, but it's pretty dangerous really in reality if it's a sort of professional race. When someone's doing a sprint and you suddenly end up in first gear, yeah, it's not going to go well. So this is basically updating that patch on Bluetooth to stop people hacking your derailleurs really. I'm not sure you can actually do any maintenance on a shifter. Yeah, you can, so you can perform an error check basically. There's not much you can do on this one though. So select that one, start that, and it'll basically just tell you to press buttons on the shifter. You press the inner button, it's happy. Press that one, it's happy. Do the LED lights flash? Right, it flashed, yeah. Okay, good. No errors found, so it's happy. It's had a firmware update. We've tightened those 2 screws down, and everybody seems happy. So I'm just going to disconnect that from here. I don't think I've got any of these plugs, unfortunately. Otherwise I would have put one in there, but this covers more than enough, I think, really. That's interesting. So that's disconnected now, and not working again. Something not right here. If you just actually put this into adjustment mode, you should be able to just directly see if it's working from the shifter. So get that flashing like that. Get it so it's the orange-green light. Check we can micro adjust the back one on the shifter. Yes, we can. You should be able to micro adjust the front one on the shifter as well. No communication at all between the shifter and the front mech. However, we know we can control it on eTube, so the front mech is okay, as I say. I've just took them screws out just to check there's no loose connection, but it's just basically a sealed unit in here. There's nothing you can do in here. So yeah, it's gonna be, I think that'll be a warranty claim for that one there. Deaded. So it did work, didn't work, did work, didn't work. No, definitely doesn't work. Right, so I'm back on this bike 3 days later now. I've visited it 10 times a day, yesterday, day before. Every time you come to it, either works, doesn't work, completely inconsistent. So I did change these batteries in the end. I put some brand new energizers in here. The old batteries had a 2025 date code on it. They were showing 3 volts on the multimeter, as you saw. But yeah, as soon as I put these in, every time I come to it now, it's working. I don't know, I'm puzzled. But anyway, it seems to be fixed. So I've changed the batteries in this one, just as a matter of course. But you can see how I use the sort of eTube app to sort of narrow down what the actual problem was to the shifter and not what we initially thought was the actual front derailleur. So that can be useful for you. And on the rear derailleur, if you set your limit stops slightly incorrect, potentially the derailleur can be constantly working trying to match its gear position, and that will flatten the battery. Normally the actual battery itself and not the shifter battery, but just something to be aware of. So if you hear a weird noise when you're not on your bike and potentially the derailleur is sort of trying to trim itself, potentially your limit stops are wrong, and that could be causing a bit of a battery drain. So it's just something to watch out. You do need to let it overshift on the high stop position on the rear derailleur, otherwise it's constantly fighting itself and draining the battery. I don't see how that would affect the front derailleur, and this rear derailleur was set correctly. But anyway, we seem to have a fix just by changing these apparently okay batteries. Weird. Anyway, what's next? Next up, we got this SL7. It's just come back from a holiday abroad, actually, and the customer had a bit of a tumble on it, and he's a bit concerned the rear mech's not quite as sweet as it should be. It's on Dura-Ace Di2, so it should be absolutely mwah. I'll go have a quick look at that and make sure this hanger's nice and straight. Quick job. It is actually shifting quite nicely in the stand, but you can see it's got a couple of pretty significant wall wounds on it. So we'll check the derailleur hanger anyway, because it doesn't take very long. So I'm just going to unplug this Di2 cable first, because the weight of the derailleur is going to unplug it for you otherwise. Alright, take the derailleur off. A good whack there, isn't it? Jeez. Right, take that off. That's why I took the cable out. You can see it's not going to stretch down there. Move this chain out of the way, otherwise the tool can sometimes foul on it as you put it through. £12,000 bike and a £20 AliExpress tool. Yeah, it works. 4 years old now, this is still going. No problem at all. Alright, so best practice when you're checking the derailleur hanger is to check the actual wheel straight. I know for a fact this is as straight as an arrow, but if you want to use a reference point, use the valve. Pull your elastic band in there, whatever you're using on it. Push this in until it hits the rim, and that sets that one there. And then you drop this down, pull that back out, and leave that elastic band where it is, and pull this down to the bottom of the wheel and see what it looks like. You just slide this bit up a little bit to line up, and then you're pushing this in here. It's really not far out at all. You're allowed about a 3mm tolerance there. It's pretty much within that, to be honest. It needs a tiny tweak over, but very minimal. Literally just bending that, and that's within spec now, guys. Easily check it side to side as well. All right, we've definitely got a bit of a gap here, so we need to pull this tool this way to increase that gap there. Just check the other side first though, in case it's showing something weird. Yeah, miles out from there as well. So you're basically pulling the derailleur hanger this way a little bit. It'll just tweak this hanger. It's a very minimal adjustment. Yes, you could certainly order a new one of these, but for such a minor adjustment, it should accommodate this, no problem. That's all you're doing, basically. A quick jerk on there. Still a bit more to go yet. Try that. There you go, guys. Bang on now. So that's checking out straight there, there and there. There's no point checking the fourth one because it can't possibly be that shaped. If it's within 3 planes, it's got to be straight. I'll take this off, put the derailleur back on. So it's basically just a minor angle adjustment this way there, and that's all. If there's any paint damage or cracking on this hanger, obviously you change it, but with such a minor adjustment, it'll be no problem at all. Just put your derailleur back on. Make sure you're stopping on your B-stop there. Nip it up. So yeah, plug it back in. Notice these flaps fell off as well in the carnage. That's missing. There you go, that's alive. Push your seal back in there. These pretty much always fall off anyway, even though they're brand new, they're pretty poor design. But that's long gone now. I'm not sure if you can order them as a spare. I'll check out for the customer, maybe. All right, let's just check the gears. It's quite a noisy wheel, unfortunately. There you go. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Right, that was an easy one. What's next? Quick pause before we move to this next one. Say a massive thank you to Sport and Leisure for sponsoring today's video. There's nothing worse than being right in the middle of a job, only for everything to come to a grinding halt because the part you ordered said it was in stock. It wasn't in stock. Often, it's not even in the same country. That's exactly why I use Sport and Leisure. They're based right here in the UK. Stock levels are 100% live. It says it's on the shelf. It genuinely is on the shelf, ready to go. And if you get your order in before 3 PM, it's dispatched the very same day with free UK delivery. Plus next day delivery is only £2.50, which is brilliant when you need to crack on with the job. I ordered a part for this bike yesterday and it's here today. They've also just updated the channel discount scheme for you. Head over to sportandleisure.com/PCR or scan this QR code on the screen right now. It'll generate a 10% discount at checkout off your first order. If you're buying parts anyway, it's an easy way to save a bit of cash. So the link's in the description below. And thanks again to Sport and Leisure for continuing to support the channel and getting me this part the next day. Let's crack on with this. You'll like this one. Alright, next up, this is literally just come through the door and the bottom bracket is absolutely destroyed. The customer pushed it home. He didn't fancy riding it anymore. This is, I don't think I've ever seen one that bad, I'll be perfectly honest. Alright, let's see what's going on. Right, I'll turn the bike around, look at the state of this. Oh my god. Right, let's get this out. Flipping egg. Oh, excuse my compressor. Ball bearings falling out all over the place now. Oh God. I'm going to take this chain off because it's being changed anyway. Right, let's get the chain out of the way. Let's take this crank out. There's just a pile of ball bearings down here at the moment. That's ball bearings there. Shouldn't be looking like that. That's what it's supposed to look like. Yeah. So there's a bit of it in there. The outer race is still in there. God knows where the rest of it is. Right, let's take the crank out. I'm trying to keep all these as a souvenir. Jesus. Well, there's a bit of the cage there. This side's alright. I think this might be a bit of a challenge because the inner race of that bearing is still on this axle. Yeah, and if that's seized, this could be a massive problem. Like a major problem, so I can't get the crank out the other side without holding it on. I'll try and tap this through and hold the crank on the other side. There you go. Let's pull the full cup out of the bottom bracket, but it's not the end of the world because it's dead anyway. But so that's the other half of the bearing there, the inner race of it stuck on this axle at the moment, which is why you can't get this out, because obviously this inner race fouls against that other bearing now and prevents you pulling the axle out. So hopefully this will just slide off without too much drama. And yeah, deaded. A tiny little axle, isn't it? It's not even, what is it, 18, 19 mil, tiny little thing. So I'm just going to get it going at the moment, so I'm just going to rest that bearing. Oh, it's moved, there you go. That's it, it's just freed itself off, so I'm just going to clean this up and it should come out now. So there's a lot of wear on this. I don't know if you can see it, where that bearing's been sat. It's got some massive grooves in here. So I think ultimately, I think this chain set is going to be game over. There's real big grooves I can feel there. And that's exactly where the bearing sits. So I think realistically, the best option for this is to replace the entire thing with a Shimano unit, with a Shimano press fit bottom bracket, beef it up to 24 mil and just put something decent in there. This is just toast. All right, I'll speak to the customer and I'll see what he wants to do. We'll get something ordered. What is it, an FSA thing? Yeah. I think that's the end of the road for this one. Still bits of bearing coming out here, look. It's just wow. So I'll pull the other half of this out. There's another plastic sleeve that lives in there at the moment. Right, pull the rest of this out. This is a BSC puller. Should just whip this straight out, hopefully. Put that in and then just turn this handle backwards like that and I'll just pull it out. There you go, that's the rest of it out. Good. Right, so I've got a new bottom bracket here, FSA unit. I don't have a drift for this. This is a full BSC drift, but I don't have anything that's a 19mm. They asked you in the instructions to use a headset press, but I don't really want to do that. So I think I'm just going to use something like this and reverse it over. Normally that would slot into the middle there and do it perfectly, but you know, don't have one for that. Every size under the sun apart from FSA. There you go. This should work fine. So FSA recommend just a light coating of grease on these and we'll press it into the frame. I did try and fit a 105, Shimano 105 bottom bracket and crank in here, but because this is technically a gravel frame set, the chain line's wrong and then it hits your chainstay, so that didn't work. So it's a gravel frame, so we need a different chain line. So we are fitting a brand new same chain set. That's going straight in, no problem. That's in. Every single time I'll drop that handle. So I got a brand new chain set delivered next day from video sponsor Sport and Leisure. Let's get this in, get some grease on this spindle. Hopefully it lasts a bit longer than that other one. I think a GRX would have been nice on here, but obviously we got a budget to work to and it's just a bit of a commuter bike. So right, that's clearing the chain set. When you put the 105 on, because the chain line was different, that was basically fouling straight onto the chainstay, so that's good. A wavy washer for the other side. I'll screw this on, there's already grease in here. 8mm. 38 to 41 Newton meters. There you go, that's on. Not bad. So we've got a wavy washer in there that must touch both parts of the head. It will get obviously squashed, but it won't end up flat. That's the whole idea of a wavy washer. So that's took up any slack between those two. Looking good. Right. So the customer rides this bike with headphones on all the time, hence he didn't hear that noise. It's actually a very regular customer of mine. He's probably watching this video. Hi. So yeah, a lesson to all. If you do use headphones, every now and again, just take them off and see if you can hear any nasty noises, because that's been like that for some considerable amount of time. But anyway, all back together, good to go. Now I've got finished servicing the whole bike now. It needs a new chain, cassette, it needs quite a lot of work actually, but I just wanted to show you that one. It's pretty extreme, that one. Right, quick update on tools. You might have seen my Jaguar hose cutters just fell to pieces basically, so I've upgraded to these Knipex ones. Wow, these are super sharp. Just open that up and it's literally like, wow, incredible. Fantastic, super accurate as well, and absolutely perfect clean cut, so I'd recommend them. I'll stick them on my Amazon list on the actual video description. A massive upgrade from what I was using before, so very happy with those. So I hope you enjoyed that. I do enjoy doing these compilation videos, so you'll see quite a few more of these on Wednesdays alongside the main service videos on Saturdays. I hope you learn a few bits and pieces along the way. I'll try and keep real varied content in these because I think it just makes it more interesting for you. Anyway, if you did enjoy that, and you've not already done so, subscribe button down there, like, share, all that great stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.